Hey, Paul.
Audio.
I got
Hello.
audio. I do not have your video though, which
Oh,
is the most
okay.
important part.
Oh, there we go. Start video, I'm assuming.
We are recording now.
Now we're live. We're recording. Well,
This
I
is
better
what
do
live
so.
recording looks like.
This is it. Okay. Well, okay. Let's straighten ourselves up, get ourselves organised here, and say good evening and welcome to another episode of Talking Rubbish. In this episode, we have no idea what we're going to be talking about, but we can guarantee it will be rubbish. I am joined by regular guests, Jeb Brooks and Paul Stewart, aviation YouTubing royalty from both sides of the Pacific. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Captain. It's lovely to see you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Now, I did say good evening, and it's only evening in North Carolina, isn't it? It's morning here. So look, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the next however many minutes as we dribble some crap. Now, 2021. It's we were all expecting the new year to suddenly flourish, and we wake up on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, and the world has become a better place.
Oops.
Well, yes. So let's see if we can make the world a better place, and you certainly are doing that, Mr. Brooks. Congratulations, you've become engaged.
That is true. Yes. Our creative director over at greenergrass.com consented to take a step up in roles and responsibility to become my betrothed. I'm very excited. We're very excited. You guys have met the creative director, and
Yes.
she and I have a blast together, and we are so excited about what the future holds, and look forward to sharing more of that on YouTube and beyond.
Oh, it's fantastic. We was very, very pleased. Obviously, you're batting well above your average there. Now, the question that Paul and I have got: are you planning this wedding during the COVID era, just so that you don't have your two favourite Australians show up?
Yeah, actually, we have orchestrated this this whole thing to make sure that the two of you all don't show up at the wedding itself. Now, afterwards, when we're having a party or something, you're more than welcome to show up. But unfortunately, you're not welcome at the event. Are you kidding? Of course. Are you kidding me? Like, you all would be the guests of honor. The two of us would take a back seat to you all being present at that event.
I was kind of just going to accept the idea of just coming to the reception with free food and booze.
No,
That's the main part
We
of
do parties well.
I had another question. You said that you're ordained in another video, Jeb. So can you marry yourself?
So, all right, this is interesting. We have done a little bit of research on this, and Washington, D.C. is one of a few locations in the United States where two people can literally stand on a sidewalk, declare that they're married, and then they're married. So we could go to Washington and be done with the whole thing.
Fantastic. How good's that? I was sure there was a line in there about something marrying yourself. You've been doing other things to yourself for years, but yeah, I won't mention. We won't go down that line.
I'm not sure I know what you mean, Dennis.
I don't know what he's talking about either, Jeb.
Maybe you could clarify for us, or personal experience you want to share, or something.
Something like this. Paul, let's start with you. You seem to be other than flying. Well, no, you have been flying. You've been flying to museums. You've actually been busy. What has been happening since the last time we spoke?
Yes. So now that I guess our international borders are closed, I've just been traveling around Australia. I mean, I've spent the last few years flying over this great continent to other continents, but I figured maybe I should spend some more time here. So I went to Tasmania a few weeks ago, and then went up to Longreach in regional Queensland. It's about a 3-hour flight west on a Dash 8 in the middle of nowhere. So that's essentially the spiritual home of Qantas. They were formed in a town nearby, but then in 1921 they moved there, and then the whole Qantas journey began there. So there's a fantastic Qantas Fanners Museum out there. So I went out there and filmed quite a few videos out there, tours through a 707 Super Constellation, 747 and just the museum generally. But it was really good to go out there. The staff there were very hospitable, very friendly. In fact, the whole town was. I think, I think they were very happy for tourism to sort of kick off again. And I was, I guess, very keen to, I guess, show people that the domestic tourism, particularly in Australia, is still happening. And next week, which I need to talk to you about afterwards, I'm off to South Australia if your Premier will let me in, and then up the Northern Territory after that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to traveling a bit more.
I just want to hop in. I want to hop in real
Yeah.
quick and say I think that your museum videos, your tours through older airplanes, just absolutely spectacular. I mean, getting to see, I'm here in the States, right? So I'm not able to explore Australia's aviation museums the way you are, but to be able to get up close and personal with those airplanes with so much history is really fantastic. And you're doing such a good job of telling their stories and highlighting what they're doing. I don't really think anybody on YouTube is doing that quite the way you are. And I think it's just amazing. I've enjoyed each one.
Yep. Yeah. No, thanks, Jeb. No, I've enjoyed making them in many ways. I've almost enjoyed making them more than some of the other videos. I mean, as I've said in the past, like I'm not really a luxury travel enthusiast. A $50 or a $400 bottle of champagne tastes the same to me. I think. I mean, obviously, it's true. You're making it up. It's first and business class travel is fun, but I think my true passion is aviation. And if you gave me the choice of flying in a Concorde or a B-29 or an Etihad apartment in an A380, I would always go through the Concorde or B-29. So I'm really enjoying it, just learning the history and walking around these aviation pieces of history. And this coming week, I'm off to the Haas Museum here in Wollongong to film a few more videos there as well. So I think it's just a really interesting, really nerding out for 20 minutes on camera and possibly eating some flies as well.
Yeah, that's good to see you keeping your protein intake up. What I liked was especially because I've obviously been binge watching your videos in preparation for this very well researched podcast. The story behind the actual aircraft. That one of, was it the 707 was a freighter or the Connie was a freighter, and both of them were sort of in states of disrepair and brought back through the work of a lot of hard work from a lot of volunteers and aviation enthusiasts.
Well, exactly. I mean, even the 707 generally, I mean, back before then, Boeing were concentrating mostly on military aircraft during World War II and things like that. They did a few passenger aircraft, but they were a disaster. They weren't at all popular. So then they decided to design a new a air-to-air refueler, the KC-135, and then they essentially just made a passenger version of that. Slightly more complicated, but that's the summary. And here we are. We have the 707, which really did bring in the jet age to the entire world. As all the British people on YouTube reminded me, the Comet was first, but obviously it had a number of design flaws, which resulted in that crashing and being grounded. So it really was the 707 that introduced jet travel. And even a lot of people commented on the video. There were European migrants who came to Australia. There was the famous 10-pound POM. A lot of them would have come across on 707s. So for many, I think Australians in particular, that was the first step to a whole new life. And you even see that in the Qantas safety video, the fantastic one that they did, I think at the start of last year, where they actually had, it was computer generated, but they actually had 707s landing. Actually, it was actually Wollongong Airport. You could tell in the background and waving to family as they arrived. So I think that's actually really nice. But I mean, it's, as Dennis, you said in your 747 farewell video, it's much more than a piece of metal. For many people, these aircraft is a memory and an experience. And I think a lot of our boomers and Generation X's might have seen like the 747 Classic, the 707, and thought that aircraft took me on my first ever overseas holiday and things like that. So I think a lot of even my statistics on YouTube, there's a lot more older people watching the videos and commenting and saying, I was a Qantas engineer for 30 years. This brought back great memories. So I'm just really enjoying just seeing their comments, responding to them, and going from there. But no, I'm really enjoying these types of more nerdy AvGeek videos, so that there's more coming.
Fantastic. I don't know if I'll ever agree with you around this whole not being into luxury travel bit, and I will leave you to, explain and get excited about the engines hanging off the wings. But fantastic to see. Now you're heading to the world epicenter of beaches and fine wines. So what's this trip about?
So I'm catching the GAN, the train. I've never
Yep.
done a luxury train or anything like that. So I thought I might check it out. So that's a famous Australian luxury train that essentially goes up the spine of Australia from Adelaide up to Darwin.
Well,
So
Paul Lucas did the Indian Pacific, and that's had well over 1 million views. So you're moving into his territory, and obviously Jeb has been on the railways himself.
no, exactly. So it seems people are quite interested in it, and even just telling people about what I'm doing in a few weeks' time. A lot of people are interested. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes.
Did you, when you were at high school, did you ever think you'd be this popular?
No, yeah.
He already was. He already was this popular.
Of course, yeah.
And Jeb, other than getting engaged and being sucked up by the wedding industry, you seem to be moving into to airports and trains, as well as still manage to get on some flights. What's been happening?
Paul said it well. I mean, you've got to accept that travel is limited, and you sort of have to take what you can get. And so yeah, we've had the opportunity to travel on Amtrak several times this year, which have all been really cool adventures. And if you'd asked me in 2019 if I was going to be on Amtrak, I would have said no way. And I really missed it. So like, Paul, good on you for doing the GAN. I mean, I don't know if that was on your radar screen before, but trains really are pretty amazing. It just gives you a different sense of pace. You see things you wouldn't otherwise see. That's been really amazing. And then airports. So often travel before was like, it was business travel, or it was whatever it was really fast paced. Like there was no time to slow down and take it in. I think that what I've taken away from sort of this period of time is the opportunity to slow down and appreciate other things. And one of those other things are airports. And, we pass through them quickly, not realizing just how much there is that goes into making these places work, which has been really fun to see. So I've gotten the chance to go behind the scenes at a couple of airports and really dig in, creating a sort of new irregular series called Airports Revealed. We've gone to Cincinnati and Aspen and Salt Lake City and different places like that to just sort of see how they work. And the other thing that I'm doing, it's been great. Yeah. The other thing I'm doing that I have not talked about on YouTube or really anywhere is I've gotten back into the cockpit. So I'm flying again, which I haven't done in many years, and that's been just an absolute blast to be in the front of the airplane.
Wow.
But I still prefer, unlike Paul, I prefer the Etihad apartment.
Yes, yeah. That's is it Noel? He's also got his pilot's license. This seems to be a theme.
Yeah, it's if you can't hop on board long haul, might as well hop on board slow haul.
Yes, yeah. One of my friends in the industry here, she runs a tour company. She's getting her private pilot's license as well, and managed to get a landing slot at Sydney Airport. Obviously, with aviation really being down here, an airport which would normally be completely out of bounds for trainee pilots, she landed on the main runway. And there was a Jetstar, A320 having to wait for her while she came in to land. It's a fantastic experience. So yeah, look, JFK. Let's see.
Well, right at the height of the whole thing, sort of April timeframe, a lot of private pilots were doing the three big New York airports. So they'd fly up and then fly between JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, and do a circuit between the three because nothing was happening, so they could get in.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic! Now, the other thing, talking about airports, your local airport, is this it's a training ground for Air Force One, is it?
Yeah. So what's really interesting is particularly around presidential transitions, I think, although all through time, the Air Force crews that fly the VIP transport. So there are
Mhm.
VC-25s, which is the 747, C-40s, which are the 737, and the C-25s that are 757, or vice versa. Whatever. These are VIP transport planes that are pretty much coming down to Greensboro fairly regularly and doing touch and
Yeah.
goes, getting crew training. So it's pretty exciting. In fact, speaking of my private pilot's lessons, I was out for a flight the other day, and I was having to wait behind one of those VIP U.S. Air Force 737s doing touch and goes, and it touched down right in front of me. And boy, that's a
Wow.
good. Yeah.
So it's your plan to buy yourself a CRJ and fly yourself around the country?
I can assure you it's not going to be a CRJ 200 if that happens.
Might be nicer in the flight deck.
You
They
know,
look pretty cool.
it's funny. Pilots, CRJ 200 pilots will stop me in airports, no joke, and say they've seen that video about me bashing the 200 and invited me to sit in the cockpit because it's a completely different experience. Apparently, it's a Ferrari in the sky, but
Yeah.
it sure is not if you're in our seats.
Yeah. Sitting in row 12 is not quite the Etihad apartment. Before we move on to what I've been doing, Paul and I wouldn't be doing our jobs as Australians if we didn't ask you what the hell's been going on in America these sort of last few years and stuff. It's a little bit like finding out that your grandparents are cocaine addicts, or that your parents love British Airways old business class. What's going on?
I think that, look, I'm no expert in this, but I think that what we're seeing is that
I'm putting you on the spot here, aren't I?
I know this is a very
This is where we generate the comments and the controversy in the video. How come? Because Paul and I, both of us, we were looking through all those video footage from what was happening in the Capitol and stuff. We were looking for you. We couldn't see you anywhere.
No, look, I mean, Washington, D.C., I mean, you guys both know that's where I met Suzanne. That's, sort of a second home to me. We've got, Paul, you were right there walking around with us. We love that whole part of the world. And, January 6th was a tough day because, that was just criminal activity. Like, there's nothing other than that's what that was. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that what we've got is we've got a very, a lot of very passionate people in this country who believe fervently that their perspective is the right or the only perspective. And that's been exacerbated by the pressures that we perceive from, sort of the COVID restrictions. I think that and this is really more Paul's expertise than I am, but we've all been put inside a pressure cooker kind of a thing. And we're not able to adjust perhaps as well as we should or could. So it's taken existing passions and blown them up.
Yes.
It's expanded them a bit. I mean, so hopefully, look, I'm about as moderate politically as they come. I guess everybody would say that at one stage or the other, but I just want to live my life. And I hope that cooler heads prevail and we can get back to government that just sort of doesn't do anything.
Yes, boring politics. That's
my goal.
Yes, yeah. No, look, it was tragic, from an outsider's perspective. America is, we like to take the piss, but it is a country that we've always looked up to. So to see what's been happening has been sad. To see what's been happening around the world hasn't been great. So yeah, let's hope that as the year continues, that things start to open up and settle down, calm down, and we can all get back to doing what we love without all of this bullshit. So yeah, my channel's been a bit in hibernation this last few months. It turns out that it was 120 days from the day we're recording now that I uploaded my last video. So it is high time that I released a new one. Now there is, depending on when this is released, in fact, I did just release a little video on my channel. It's happening tomorrow or the day after, on helping to save the Australian travel industry. So still very much involved in campaigning to try and get our industry through this. Obviously, travel and tourism around the world has been absolutely decimated by COVID. So we're looking to try and help us get out of this. But I actually started editing last night for the first time, or preparing. Yeah, I had one video left that I recorded pre all of this COVID. And it's the second half of my journey. It was from London to Sydney on Air China via Beijing.
I remember.
And, yeah, well, the first leg was supposed to be on an A350. I turned up at the gate, all excited about this new A350 from Air China, and there was an old rattle box of an A330. It was bloody awful. I had a seatmate next to me who could eat louder than the noise coming out of a jet engine, and then arrived in Beijing early in the morning. Spent 14 hours at a very forgettable transit hotel, airside, and then jumped at 1:40 a.m. onto a 777 with Air China. And I'd never actually put that up. And then with all COVID, it didn't seem right to be putting up an Air China flight review, and then, life took over. So I thought, well, now is the time. One of the nicest things about this video, though, is as we woke up, we were coming down the east coast of Australia, and have got fantastic views. We basically followed the Great Barrier Reef all the way along. So some really nice views coming out of, or coming into Australia. So hopefully, well, there is one flight review coming up, an old flight review, a classic, Dennis Bunnick Travels flight review. And the other one, sorry?
You're editing it yourself?
No, I'm doing the storyboard and the.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I did toy with the idea, but my mate Chris, who does it, he's obviously hasn't had any work on the video editing side of things for a while either. So no, I'll hope to get the finished files to him this in the next couple of days. Yeah. Then the next one, Paul and I are actually on an inaugural flight of such. There's a small regional, or the largest regional airline in Australia, Rex. They basically fly Saab A380s or something.
340s.
Yeah, Saab 340s. I knew there was an Airbus number in there somewhere.
Close.
Yeah, they fly to Mildura and Kangaroo Island and Mount Isa and all of these sorts of country places, I think. They decided that in the middle of a pandemic, it would be a really good idea to lease a 737 and start competing with Qantas and Virgin on the Melbourne-Sydney route.
Well, they've sold 2 tickets.
Well, they have. There were 3, because one of my mates is on it as well. So it's going to be good. They thought, and to rub salt in the wounds, they've actually taken one of the original Virgin or Virgin Blue aircraft, leased that, repainted it, got rid of the Virgin logos on the outside of it, repainted it Rex, and Paul and I early March are doing that flight.
Yeah, no, I think their entire fleet is actually ex-Virgin. But I mean, I think the good thing is, though, they've actually hired a lot of ex-Virgin staff, so it's good for them to find somewhere to continue their careers as well. But we wish them all the best. I think both of us are big Qantas nerds, but it's good. We need someone else to keep them honest, as well as just more people in the industry employing all these staff. I think is a good thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think we've all got a soft spot for Qantas. So you're much more of a fanboy, but you haven't been at the receiving end of the business side of Qantas that all of us in the industry have been. So we're more tempered. But that's they have a good product. But yeah, we wish Rex all the best. The other thing that I'm doing is finally the the tours, the South Australian tours with Bunnick Tours. I'm escorting in March on the 4th and the 18th, the very first departure. So I actually I get to take people around the Barossa Valley, McLaren Vale, Kangaroo Island. We go to Penfolds, and
I would give anything to hop on board one of those tours.
oh,
To have
well,
Dennis escorting. Is that,
Yes.
who wouldn't want to listen to my stories for 10 days straight? Our
YouTube.
exactly. It's like one long YouTube channel. We get to drink red, we get to drink white, we get to see. Well, I'm going on Tuesday with Julie, my wife, to Kangaroo Island for a few days, an inspection visit to check it out, to do the final prep. But it should be good. I'm learning a lot about the history of Adelaide as well. We in this because I'm doing some of the tour guiding as well as the overall tour escort side of things.
I can't be sure, but I would think that the inspection visit is one of the greatest perks of your industry.
It is part of well, you've got to know what you're doing. Talking bullshit will only get you so far.
Well, I'm not saying I know there's a lot of work that goes into it, but I gotta believe the inspection visit with your wife is that's a pretty nice perk.
It's going to be nice. Especially Kangaroo Island. It's a beautiful part of the world. So we're going to be doing that. It's really nice. The other thing that I've been doing, and I want to give them a quick plug. Danielle Lonan, who is a massive fan of aviation YouTube as well as train. She's a massive train lover. She's in Sydney. She's in the entertainment industry. She actually created a podcast series called the Lockdown Hotline Sessions. And I'll put the links below because myself and Paul Lucas actually each featured in one of those episodes in the series, as well as a whole lot of other weird and wonderful people around the world. So I recorded one of those, and that was really nice. And while I'm giving plugs, my mate Rod Mensler has created a travel podcast series, and I'll put the link on that one below as soon as that's released. It's happening in the next couple of weeks or so. So if the link isn't below while you're watching this, it will be soon. Yeah. Anyway, I reckon we're almost out of time, aren't we?
We are. We're pushing 30 minutes.
Push it. See, we go for 20 and we're at 30. How any last comments before we wrap this up and meet again in about 60 seconds for the next episode, Mr. Brooks?
Between now and the next time, see you in the sky.
Farewell, brothers.
Actually, the next episode is going to be on whose channel?
I think it's Paul.
Paul.
Possibly
for the first time ever on Paul Stewart's channel, an episode of Talking Rubbish.
Dennis, do you want to end it with anything? And yours?
And
Bye.
And that's a wrap.